everyone, William here. I just had another great conversation with another guest. Would you like to come in and listen in on the conversation we had? By the way, feel free to share it with anyone you feel may find it of interest. Come on, let's go listen in now.
Bob Assadourian, it's great to have you back in the studio.
Thank you for having me, Bill.
I see you brought Ida Cohen with you.
Yes, thank you, Ida, for joining us.
Yes, thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you, Bill. And
so what part of your campaign does Ida play?
Ida plays a very important role. She has the passion, the willingness, and the knowledge to be my campaign manager. And I knew from the beginning it's critical to have a very strong and passionate campaign manager, because it's like a business. You have to have a business plan if you're going to succeed in your candidacy.
Very good. So Ida, how did you meet Bobby?
we met, I guess, 2008.
Yes.
And through mutual friends, they were having a barbecue, and you know, we got to talking, and I just found Bob such a passionate person, and I really identified with some of the things he was saying. I thought, wow, you know, it's not every day you meet somebody that has sort of the same passion about people and helping, and I've always been one of those people that I need to believe in people, and Bob was just an instant, it was just an instant attraction in terms of what, you know, we felt so strongly about the city. And you know, I was fairly new to the city, and he just pointed out so many things about Hamilton. I mean, there were reasons why I picked to move from Toronto to Hamilton. And when he talked so passionately about Hamilton, right from, you know, all the waterfalls, all the wonderful things, and where he lived, to me it was just fantastic. And, you know, ironically, I ended up searching all these waterfalls that he talked about and just sort of fell in love with the city. And from there on, it was a weekly trip to rediscover all these, you know, spots that Bob had talked about. And you know, I think it was a great, I was really happy to meet Bob, and his integrity was just, you know, so, it was just so mirrored to who I was. So it was
what
a perfect
surprises
fit.
me about us is they say opposites attract. We're not at all opposites.
No, we're actually very alike.
Very, very alike.
We're very
it's
alike.
Scary, Bill. The passion, our motivation, organizational skills, that's a big thing with Ida. She's extremely organized. I deal with emails with my customers, as you know, as we've talked about in the past, and how quickly I research or bombard people with emails, respond quickly. I've never met anybody that can keep up with my emails like Ida can. The organizational skills, the back and forth communication, we read each other's minds. That's what's important. That's what makes us strong and makes our platform strong.
Yeah, it builds a great relationship.
Yes.
It does, it
It
does.
makes the relationship building very easy to do.
It does.
When you think the same and you've got the same goals, and
Yes.
the same standards.
Well, and what was funny about when we met, you know, and we talked at lengths about, you know, changes in the city and all the changes that were up and coming in Hamilton. And, you know, I knew, obviously we talked about what our, you know, what we had done over the course of our lives. And Bob had told me, you know, one day I would like to have a bigger impact on the city. I want to do more than what I'm doing. And, you know, maybe even run for council. I thought, and I said to him, that's fantastic. So when I got this email saying, Ida, I'm really thinking about running, and I picked up the phone and I called and I said, Bob, I want to be your campaign manager. I want to be part of that, because, you know, through the years I've seen all these great things, and the impact he's had on so many different lives, and met some of these people. There was no way that I was going to take no for an answer, and he knows that I never take no for an answer. There's no such thing in my vocabulary. Everything's possible. And so we met, and, you know, we realized it is a perfect fit. You know, my business background and his love, my love and passion for people and change. And we wanted to make a difference. I wanted to make a difference. And knowing that if I could participate in Bob's campaign, I could be part of that difference, you know. And I believed in him that much that, you know, I have no regrets or even second thoughts about turning back. It's just moving forward all the way. I think that's how
When
we,
you volunteered,
you know, we talked. Yeah.
There was no second thoughts in my mind. It was an absolute perfect fit.
Yeah.
And it's very important to have a strong campaign manager. I mean, it's not mandatory. People can sign up and, you know, have their platform, be up there as a candidate. There's no official requirement you need a manager. But if you're smart, you're going to have a manager. It's important, Bill. There's too much to do. Obviously, you know, I come from a renovations background as a contractor. A lot of this, I must say, second nature to me because of my advocacy in the renovations business, but even a larger part of this is new to me, very, very new to me, and that's where IDA kicks in.
Very good. So what about your contracting background will be a great contribution to you and the things that you've done in the past in the city? Do you feel will be beneficial to the community as a councillor?
Well, I like to say, call it a game of connect the dots. Very, very important that people connect the dots. Anybody, the problem with politics these days is people will say anything to get into power, to get elected. So I like to tell your viewers, look at the candidates, judge them by what they've done, base that on what they're saying they're going to bring forward once they become a councillor. In my position, just about every bullet point on my platform, as people can see on my election website, I have done as a contractor. I've been an advocate for seniors. I've been an advocate for newcomers to Canada. I've been an advocate for women. I've been an advocate for youth. I have youth work with me in a co-op program through the Industry Education Council of Hamilton, to better themselves. I'm doing so well at it that they send me at-risk students so I can teach them what it really means, to work outside in the freezing cold or to work outside in the sweltering heat for up to 10 hours. So that's what's important as a contractor. At least in my case, I've had experience in advocacy. I've helped groups. That's why I can bring that forward and help a larger group of people than I ever could as a contractor.
And as a team, that's what you're hoping to do?
Oh, absolutely. And it was this passion, when Bob talked to me about his platform, and I said, this is me. All these things are so important to me. And that was the fit. The fact that his platform touched on everything that I felt was so important, so strongly about, I thought, this is perfect. I can be part of all these changes. I want to be part of all these changes. Mm-hmm. And, with my business background, I know that we can make a huge difference. And especially in that ward, it is in such need of, somebody who's passionate and strong and will go the extra mile. And, over the years, I've seen Bob do all these amazing things, from having the youth and being involved in all these different charity events and different things that he's brought. And I thought, this is really who I'm about. And so it was, again, there was it was just such an easy connection. And I just felt so proud when he said, I would love you to be my campaign manager. I said, it's a deal, signed, sealed, and delivered. So it was fantastic.
Yeah. So you've also mentioned, and I've noticed on your site, that you have work boots that you plan on wearing door to door.
Yes. On my platform page, and it's probably the only election website ever bold enough to try this tactic of thinking outside the box. But yes, you'll find my worn out steel toe boots on the website. See, Bill, it's very important about being accessible. A lot of people say they're accessible and they can be reached easily, but here I've put my cell phone number on the advertising, on the election website, because I truly will be the accessible candidate and the accessible councillor. My goal is to pound the pavement in my steel toes from now until October. My face is going to be known in the ward, and once I become councillor, it'll be a permanent part of the ward. It's about being accessible, simply taking the hopes and the needs of the constituents to council in a loud and very, very passionate voice. That's me. That's who I've always been. I'm not straying from my own nature.
Mm-hmm. You've also been a big advocate for seniors being taken advantage of.
Yes.
When you had your as a contractor.
Yes.
And helping people to understand that having a license.
Yes.
Is key.
We've talked about that in the past, but again, it goes back to the platform. When somebody would say to me, what have been the difficult items now to put together on the election website or the easy ones? The easiest thing I've had to put together is the platform, because those bullet points in the platform are everything I stand for. Even some of the other items, such as crime. Now you might think, what does crime and contracting or renovator have in common? I've spoken at seminars about scamming seniors, about the beware of the contractor that knocks at your door soliciting for you. I've been on many radio and television programs discussing crime as it relates to renovations. So even the fact of crime, my platform, what I plan on to do with Ward 3 to help them with that, these are all bullet points that I've been doing and been addressing for 10 years. That's why, the constituents have to know that when you're reading the platform or these hollow promises in some cases the candidates are making, look at their past. What do they do for a living? Where did they volunteer? Who have they helped? That's important because that is going to be who they're going to be.
Transparency.
Yes, yes.
And being transparent.
That's important. My life's an open page. Through the election website, people can find my company website. They can watch me in the media or listen to me on radio, see what I've stood for in the last 10 years. That's not very different at all from who I'm going to be as councillor.
Very good.
Yeah. I mean, one of the greatest things about Ward 3, it has so much potential. Yes. And I said to Bob, I can envision, instead of going to Niagara-on-the-Lake, wouldn't it just be wonderful if I can park my car and just walk down and window shop in Hamilton with all these great, heritage buildings rejuvenated and looking great. I would rather do that than drive out of the city. Not that that's a bad thing. I think it's great, but to do it in your own city and, no different than in Toronto where, for 40 years of my life where there were pockets that you were just afraid to walk, and one of the great things that I'm very strong about would be to have that ward and be able to go. I go down there regularly to do shopping at a specialty store. Wouldn't it be great if we just had more of this? Right. And so this just sort of goes in line with what Bob wants to do, and I said, I want to be there, and I might even open up a quaint little shop, storefront, and have this amazing, where people can walk and feel safe. Sure. People can come out of their homes and go window shopping and not have to worry about crime or somebody coming up to them. Because right now, reality is that there is a lot of that, and people are afraid to come home, out of their homes, and they sort of stick in to staying inside of their home. And it's just sad that, whether it's the older people, the older generation, and the youths tend to sort of always go to the same area. And so we need to sort of expand that. And, when Bob, when he sort of brought up the platform, I said, that is perfect, because that's how I see myself moving on and integrating into Hamilton as a whole, is to just park your car and be able to go window shopping and feel safe.
So you're a relatively young man, and if you're the successful candidate for council, this is a lifelong dream for you.
Yes.
And your vision is to be able to watch things transpire into the vision that Ida is referring to.
Create a legacy. Have every single one of the bullet points on my platform come to life, and then through engaging the community, the constituents, create another series of bullet points, and on, continually making the ward a better place to live.
Very good. And your website is?
For www.forbetterward3.com. Again, www.forbetterward3.com, or anybody can phone me. Pick up the phone, 905-929-8511. I'm very accessible.
And all your contact information is on there?
Everything. Email address, everything. Both of us.
Yeah, and he'll be paving with he'll be paving with his boots, but I told him I will be walking but I will not be on those steel toe boots.
They can be uncomfortable if you're not used to them. I'm used to them. So
I said, I'll put my running shoes on, and
Well, running shoes come with steel toe.
Some of them do, absolutely, but I will be out there when the time comes.
I'm proud of my background. I mean, it's on the website. The steel toes are there for a reason. I'm not ashamed of my background. I don't come from a polished, suit and tie background, being somebody in the professional world. I come from the background of being a contractor, but I like to say that I can hold my own in both fronts, whether it's in steel toes or whether being in a suit, because when it's all said and done, it's being the eyes and ears of the ward. That's the number one responsibility of a councillor, being the eyes and ears of the ward and bringing it to council passionately.
Well, that's the beauty about Bob, is that you're not afraid to get your hands dirty.
Oh, no, that's for sure.
And some people talk, but they don't do the walk.
Yes.
And when you meet somebody that talks and does the walk, which was my case with Bob, I mean, there's just so much to admire about that.
Very good. So having said being involved in the community, what part of Hamilton do you live in, Bobby?
I'm in Stony Creek. And I'm glad you asked that question. It's been asked a lot since I've been involved in the candidacy. I want people to understand, and again, I've had positive feedback, very positive emails. However, there have been a few people that do not want what they call a drive-by or drive-through contractor. So that's important. The steel toes are there for another reason. Essentially, Bill, what they're putting to me through email or through communication is, what part of the city do you live in? And if you do not live in Ward 3, they're implying they won't vote for me. So what I'm telling these people, and what I want all your viewers to understand is, don't judge me by a border. Let's pull the borders down. Let's not, this border thing bothers me because Hamilton is a whole. Hamilton as a community should not be pitting itself against little border disputes. I tell people, if you've got a councillor that lives in Ward 3, he or she, what if they're lazy? What if they don't have that get up and go, that passion? And then you've got a councillor for Ward 3 that lives a few blocks away or several blocks away outside the ward, but they burn with passion, they have ambition, they have a history, they have a good platform. Who is going to make the better councillor? Borders aside, it comes down to the person. Mm-hmm. So I tell people, don't judge me by the ward that I live in. Judge me by what I've done, and that will be what I will continue to do. So that's very important that people understand that it's not just about where you live. It's who you are. It's what you're going to bring to the table.
Well, I mean, ultimately, Ward 3 is where you lived. It's
well,
where you grew up.
Yes, to add
you
on
even got
that,
married in Ward 3, from
again,
my understanding.
You can
so
see
that,
she's always keeping me on my toes. She's always keeping me on my toes. Just so your viewers can understand, I was born, 43 years ago, I was born in Ward 3. I grew up in Ward 3, spent 30 years of my life in Ward 3. My mother still lives in Ward 3. My wife, her mother, and my sister-in-law live in Ward 3. And I got married at St. Anthony's Church on Ward 3, in Ward 3, I should say. And of course, my home improvement business, Triple R. I work day in and out in Ward 3. I have a very solid base of homeowners that I perform anything from kitchens, basements, bathroom renovations for them. They were the driving force in my candidacy. They pushed me to this, they recommended me to this, and their strength in numbers is what makes me happy. That's what made me sign on the dotted line some time ago, I believe the 21st of February, to officially sign my name as candidate for Ward 3.
Very good. Well, I appreciate you calling me and asking me to come on my program and visiting me here. And
it's a
Ida with you. It's a
pleasure.
pleasure meeting both
I
of you.
appreciate you having me on.
I
Yes.
really look forward to watching the election progress and speaking with the other candidates as well. Thanks
Yeah,
for
we'll
coming
look
on.
forward to that.
Thank you, and
very
thank you
much
to everybody
having
for
us.
watching.
Yep.
Join us. Catch the bug.